Did you notice the yelling reduce a little bit as the weekend went on? It seemed like Friday was really intense.
For sure. I mean, you definitely notice that, right? I mean, you're stomping on someone's throat, you know, it can get a little quieter.
One of them was, and now they're both thrown out. And now Tony Vitello bumps the third base umpire.
I don't think anybody, including our fan base, are afraid to be the villains. So I think that that's what makes this play special, is that starting with our coaching staff and our players, we enjoy getting in a fight, and we enjoy the close games, and we enjoy the competition.
Rucker, the tying run at first, 1 out, bottom of the ninth. Wright State 8, Tennessee 5. Ball hit high in the air into right field. Going back is Sayre, and Tennessee can say hello, win column. A grand slam in the bottom of the ninth. You can't draw it up any better.
Pardon me and my tone. You can't step to my throne. They ain't working like me. I did this on my own. You asking where we been, huh? I don't know where to begin, huh? All this dirt on my skin. I just came here to win. I'm more than a man, I'm a monster. Somebody call a pastor, doctor. I got a 6 cents for imposters. So now I'm coming for the whole roster. It's not a game, why you playing with me? You could double back, lose track, try and hang with me. It must be in my veins, something you can't tame, cause I break the chain.
Welcome to the Talkin VAWLS Network. My name is Boogie Bentley.
I'm Dauber. And I'm the Indy Kid.
And want to wish everybody a happy Easter. Hope you guys had a great Easter Sunday. I said it at the video I dropped early this morning. I'll say it again. We're not celebrating a rabbit. We're not celebrating a rabbit on this Easter Sunday. Not going to lecture, not going to preach at anybody, but that tomb was empty on that third day. If you want to know what I'm talking about, feel free to message me, but I am not going to preach at you guys. We're going to talk a little baseball today. Let's see who is hanging out in the chat. Tim Bradley is here, says the daddy's out here saying put some respect on our name. Will Murley in the house. Are we still number one after that game? I can see the argument both ways. Yes, 100%. Tennessee is the best team in the country. Tennessee football 24/7 is in the house. Dakota is here. What is up, Dakota? Culbertson 44 talking about football recruiting. We'll get into that. If you guys want to talk recruiting, come hang out Tuesday night for a little NCAA 13. We'll talk football recruiting. Terry Reed is here. What's up, Terry? Smoky Mountain Serps is in the house. Let me go back up here and hit this $10 super chat from John Hill. Thank you for the super chat, John. Hope you had a good birthday, buddy. Missed you on Friday, but hope you had a good birthday. 2 out of 3 wins this weekend. Let's go. Happy Easter. Thank you, John, for the super chat. We appreciate it. So let's, one more. Let's hit this. Steven Snyder for 2. Thank you for the super chat, Steven. Go VAWLS. We stand with Coach V. Terry Reed also says, what's up, Indy? We have missed you. I have missed you. Just one person. Andy, not we, just one person. Let's we got so much to talk about, man. It was a very busy week of Tennessee baseball, and we're going to talk about the Tony Vitello ejection, Frank Anderson getting ejected. We're going to talk about wooden bats and drama, all kinds of good stuff. But let's start with the beginning of the week. The Tuesday game, 23-game winning streak snapped on Tuesday against Tennessee Tech. Tennessee comes to play Alabama, drops the first game of the series. Any kid watching the post-game press conference stuff after Friday, Will Mabry said probably 5-6 times in that interview, it's just baseball. It's just baseball. It's just baseball. Something we talked about a lot last year. Let's talk about that just a little bit, that it is just baseball, because I see a lot of new fans kind of going head-to-head with a lot of diehard fans, and I don't know what's worse. You've got the new fans that are freaking out over a loss, and you've got the diehard fans that are yelling at the new fans for not understanding baseball. Talk a little bit about that quote, it's just baseball.
It happens, man. I mean, the Tennessee Tech loss, it happens. If you look back over the years, these midweek games, Tennessee's dropped those games over the years. They've lost them to Tennessee Tech. They've lost to ETSU. I know numerous times when I went down to Johnson City when I was still living there and watched them play TSU, it was a dogfight. And then ETSU went down to Knoxville and beat them on at least one, if
couple
not
times,
more
yeah.
occasions. Yeah, so yeah, that's kind of one of those things that gets me too. I mean, you've obviously got the people who are just tuning in the last year or so, but when you start comparing it, saying, "Well, this is Georgia State," no, it's not. It's not. These mid-major teams in baseball are pretty good. Some of them win World Series. It's not been too long ago. Tennessee Tech was in a regional final. 2018. Now, granted, that's been a few years ago, but it's baseball. I mean, look at the Braves. They come out, won the World Series. Their first weekend was against the Reds, who got rid of everybody, and they split the series with them. Played the Nationals, who sucked, lost 2 out of 3. I mean, it's baseball. It happens. Some nights you're going to get beat. We can sit here and use the wooden bat excuse all we want. Tony Vitello, he said it best. He said, well, what's it change it? We get beat 3-2 with wooden bats. If we'd had composite bats, it would have been 6-5. So that's the only difference in it. So
Yeah, I like something else he said when they were kind of getting on him about it, and they were like, how much do you take out of this loss? I think it was after the Bama game, and he's like, the only people that care are you people. And he's like, I get it. You got a job to do. You're the media. You're writing stories. He's like, maybe you get into a few people's heads that are going out to dinner tonight. I don't know, but he's like, I can assure you that the kids in that locker room are completely focused on the task at hand. Dauber, we kind of talked about this a few weeks ago. You talked about how fun this team was to watch, and I said, not really. They're kind of boring because they just beat everybody. How important is it? This team did go through a little adversity, dropping the Tuesday game, starting off their first SEC series loss to Alabama, and they fought through some adversity, and they finished the weekend strong.
Yeah, we talked about it a couple weeks ago. You win the series. You win 2 out of 3. You win the series and move on. Listen, the SEC is a tough conference to play in, number one. Number two, I also think this may not have been the worst thing that could have happened to this team. Maybe getting humbled a little bit. Getting a little bit of a reality check, and we said, I said at some point this team has to come back down to reality because they were putting up video game numbers, and then they come out against wooden bats, composite bats, like Indy Kid said, Vitello's quote, it wouldn't have mattered because they didn't hit the ball. They had I think it was 4 hits against Tennessee Tech. You come out and you don't hit, it's tough to beat anybody. And the credit to the kid that took the last 5 innings for Tennessee Tech. He came out and he was dealing. Granted, the strike zone was pretty generous. There were some calls off the plate. But still, you've seen the ump that long in a game. You know where he's calling. You can't take pitches that are that close. But all in all, come back out. You have everything Friday night. Still didn't hit the ball well. All the drama Saturday. You still take care of business Saturday, and you come out today. And I think that was this team kind of reacting to the culmination of everything and getting back to playing the baseball we've seen them play up to this point. And I think they played a little bit pissed off too. And I think combine all that together, it's a recipe for some pretty scary stuff going forward for this team for who they're playing against.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that Friday night against Alabama because I want to talk some about Chase Burns because he struggled against Missouri. I don't even think he made it 3 innings against Missouri. Then he comes out Friday against Alabama, 3 innings, 7 hits, 5 runs, gave up 3 home runs. And I've seen some people, and I don't know where they're getting this from, talking about velocity because you don't get to see that on the broadcast. You don't see how hard these guys are throwing. When a guy like Ben Joyce is out there, they're going to talk about it, and they're going to let you know. But most of the time you're not hearing that. I've heard people saying that they feel like Chase Burns is losing some velocity, and he's a guy, again, a freshman. What he's done up to this point has been absolutely impressive, but, sometimes a pitcher doesn't have it, and I get that. But when you're looking at back-to-back starts, he's struggled a little bit. Indy Kid, do you think this could be a case of a freshman kind of hitting a wall, losing some of that velocity? It's a long season compared to what you throw as a high school kid.
I think so. I think it's possible, and I've seen it said already that he's thrown more innings this year than he has before. So I mean, and we're probably about maybe a little over the halfway mark. So there's a long way to go. I think it's possible. Maybe there's some arm fatigue. Like I said, I don't know if it's coming from people at the games or what, because we don't see it. We don't see the pitches. And I haven't really heard him say much on the air about it as well. But I think he'll be all right. And, maybe there's a point where you skip a start of his 1 week, give him a rest, especially with Tidwell kind of rounding into form a little bit. I still think Tidwell's a bit away from being able to go any distance. But, yeah, I think it's possible. And then, but, I mean, what's the extent of Dolander's injury from yesterday? And then, Beam keeps rolling. Halverson's supposed to be available about any point now, too. But, yeah, he's had a couple rough starts, 2 weekends in a row. So, I mean, we'll see Friday night against Florida. Tough team. It'll be one of the toughest teams they play.
I think one of the other things is you've got more tape on him now. And I think some of the teams are starting to catch up to him. They've seen more of his pitching, and they're ready for it. As a true freshman coming in, I think, granted, I think it's a combination of maybe a little fatigue and pitching more than he's ever pitched. But I think teams have seen more of him now. And like Boogie said, that second time through the lineup in these games, he's starting to get hit a whole lot more. And 3 bombs on Friday night. How many has he given up all season? It's kind of a combination of things. And I don't think it's reason to press the panic button. But, we'll go back to it's baseball. Some nights you don't have your stuff. Look at Camden when he came out in the Texas game, and then a couple weeks ago when he was out, didn't have his stuff. Joyce, Tennessee Tech game. I think that was just a combination of the kid ran into a 101 mile an hour fastball and turned it around. Sometimes the hitter just gets the best of you.
Ryan Clayton in the chat says Drew Beam is our best pitcher right now. Any news on Dolander? I think they said he was going to undergo more tests today or this evening. Then they'll kind of get an idea. But they're saying it could be a fractured elbow. And if that's the case, he's going to be out for a while. But it's going back to what Indy Kid was talking about earlier, when I was thinking about Burns and him struggling, and it's like maybe he does just need some rest. And then the same thing you were saying, Indy Kid, with Tidwell, I think that's an interesting thing. You could slide him in. Maybe Burns needs to rest. Maybe you move him to the bullpen and try to get him fresh and ready to go when you get into the postseason. But Tony Vitello talking about Tidwell, they asked when he thought he would be ready to kind of move into this, the starting rotation. And it's kind of a funny quote because he was like, yeah, maybe I was a little rude to you guys when I said that you're the only ones that are putting the negative narrative out there. And he was like, I'll give you a little something. He said, I think Tidwell will probably be ready once we make that shift to Thursday night games instead of Friday, which I was trying to look at the schedule here. That first Thursday game is Kentucky on May 5th. So a couple of weeks from now, maybe Tidwell's ready to start. But, talking about Dolander too, I mean, if he's going to be out for a while, and then you kind of wonder, is Sewell going to kind of slide in and take that spot if Dolander is going to be out for a while? Would he go 4 1/3? Yeah, got the box score here. He went 4 1/3 after, but he was in a walking boot after the game on Saturday as well. What a tough kid to go 4 1/3, and he was in a walking boot after the game, and clearly it came from the ball getting hit off his heel, and that was in the first inning that he was out there. He got that hit right back up the middle.
I'm not sure on that. Like I said, I missed the first couple innings. When I come in, Sewell was already in when I started watching it yesterday. So I missed all the drama.
I think he got hit in the heel his first inning out there, and then he pitched, several innings after that, and then it looked like he aggravated it trying to get over there and cover first base. Well, let's jump into the drama. We'll talk about everybody talking about sign stealing and what pissed off Frank Anderson. We're going to talk about this crew of umpires too. What an absolute joke that crew was even out there on the field. Why not play the clip again? Because it really does make me laugh.
One of them was, and now they're both thrown out. And now Tony Vitello.
I don't think anybody, including our fan base, are afraid to be the villains.
To be the man, you gotta beat the man, and I'm saying, woo, right here.
So let's
That
talk
was
about
a
this
wrestling bump if I've ever seen it from that umpire.
like first and foremost, and they said it in the booth, you can't bump an umpire. You just can't do it. But that guy freaking
He
flopped
leaned into it.
like no other. But let's just kind of go from it. We were talking about it right before we went live. It was maybe the pitch before Dolander got hit. Frank Anderson was pissed, and he was yelling and screaming about something. People are speculating, and it's all message board talk, so you never know what's true and what's not, that Alabama was stealing signals. Well, then they're talking about the radios, that they call the pitches into Evan Russell, who then signals it to the pitcher. Was there some type of radio frequency deal? Did somebody saying, did Frank Anderson hear something he wasn't supposed to? Something happened. To me, I know there's the unwritten rules of baseball. Stealing signals is fair game. If my signals are so weak that you can steal them, then so be it. But bottom line, Frank Anderson was not happy about something. What pissed me off, he was having a calm, cool, and collected argument discussion with, I think it was the second base umpire. And then here comes Ben Stiller's character from freaking Dodgeball hiking over there and sticks his nose into their business, which was the same official that the night before was absolutely terrible behind the plate. Same official from the Texas game in the postseason last year. I'm trying to find the quote here. Not a quote, but Ben McKee had a very, very interesting stat, and I really want to find it. The ref,
Like
the
57
umpire,
missed.
yeah, yes, 57 missed balls and strikes in that first game. Tennessee filed a complaint before the Saturday game, and then this nonsense happens in the first inning. I know I've rambled a lot about it. Indy Kid, what do you think? What thoughts on all that?
My understanding was Frank Anderson and Vitello was pissed because the pitch before, I guess Dolander had started, and then the guy stepped out of the box and called for time right in the middle of the pitch, and the umpire granted it to him, and it shouldn't have been granted. That was my understanding what they were upset about. I've seen it about the signs stealing as well, but I'm like you. If your signs are there and they're picking up on them, so be it. That's been a part of baseball ever since, I can remember. I mean, if I'm watching a catcher hold down a 1, yeah, I'm going to know a fastball's coming, or 2, at least at a lower level. I can't answer for college level, but that was my understanding. But maybe I think that was after Dolander got nailed and heard something. Again, it's all hearsay. Who knows? But apparently Bama dugout was running their mouths some and fired him up. So it was a very chippy series. Mm-hmm. A lot of emotions stemmed from Friday night, and I think it just carried over into Saturday. And I think Bama got a little cocky after Friday night, after their win, their big celebration. And, they're kind of like the Ole Miss pitcher, Meat, who Tennessee lit him up. He gave him a quote to fire him up. Alabama did the same thing. They fired him up, and they got pounded the last 2 games. This Tennessee team is not liked outside of Tennessee fans and the Tennessee team itself. They're not liked at all, and that's fine. But just a warning to other teams, don't give this team something to fire them up.
Yeah, I don't think they need it. They don't need the extra.
Some people saying Vitello came out there with the intent to get ejected, to fire up the guys. I don't think that's the case, especially when Anderson got tossed first. I think Anderson getting tossed set Tony Vitello off, and then there was no hope for him. Frank Anderson seemed pretty calm. Tony was pointing and jawing. I'd love to have a mic on him. I'd say there was a CS thrown out there at some point or another that got him tossed. I'd say that came out of there. Frank Anderson just suspended for today's game. Tony Vitello, 4-game suspension. He'll be back next Sunday against Florida. But what irritated me so much was, like we said, the missed calls were one thing, but it was both ways, right? He was calling horrible on both sides. It wasn't just one-sided against Tennessee. But when you start with the crap of barking at the dugout repeatedly over and over and over, then they tell them they can't use the fur coat. Then the next thing you know, they can't even come out of the dugout to celebrate a home run. Let these kids play the game. This game is about college athletes. It's not about Ben Stiller and his mustache out there. Just a joke. It ain't about – we shouldn't be having a post-game show talking so much about this clown. Let these kids play the game. You can – yeah, we're the villains, Indy Kid. Let these kids play. Let them celebrate. Let them be the villains. It happens all across college baseball. It's not just Tennessee.
Well, that's the thing, and I'll say it again. The SEC wants to claim that they're the best conference in football, the best conference in baseball, but yet they continue to hire and have officials and umpires out there. This guy was fired from MLB because of mistakes and not being up to par for MLB standards. But yet the SEC brings him right along and oh, yeah, come on. And 57 missed calls on Friday night with him behind the plate. And then he comes in, like you said, Boogie, stuck his nose into a discussion between Anderson and the other umpire. And I think that's because if you watch the video, that's what Vitello said. He said he was talking to him, not you.
Right.
And, it's just one of those things. When these guys make it about them and not the kids, not the student athletes that are out there playing the game, that's when there's a problem. And that's been the case with the SEC for years in all sports.
I don't understand how a third base umpire, too, comes in and rules you can't celebrate, you can't put on a fur coat, a hat, you can't come out of the dugout. I mean, what was he going to do if they did do it? Was he going to toss the whole team out the game? I mean, that's at that point then and there, I don't know if he called today or not. Because I thought
he was on first base.
He was first base.
Yeah,
he was a crew chief for the weekend, which I think that's why everything went back to him. Even yesterday when he wasn't behind the plate, all decisions ultimately go back to him. But I don't think that they should have any control of what goes on in the dugout.
Right. Either there's a rule that you can't come out of the dugout and celebrate, or there's not. You don't just get to make up a rule mid-series and say that they're not allowed to come out of the dugout. My thing is there's no accountability. Dauber talking about it happens all across the SEC. You got a guy that misses 57. How many pitches were even thrown in that game? That's a ridiculous percentage of missed calls behind the plate. There's no accountability for that. Meanwhile, Tony Vitello belly bumps somebody and sends him flying 8 rows back, and Tony Vitello is, they were talking about whether or not he would be able to coach today or whether it would have to go to the SEC and be reviewed. But no, the accountability is there for Tony Vitello. He has to, man up and take his punishment. Meanwhile, this joker behind the plate missing so many calls, he's just out there the next series or the next game, and he'll be calling balls and strikes somewhere next weekend too. And there's no accountability.
Hopefully not in Gainesville.
I cannot imagine. Oh my God! But you talk about a riot. I don't know. We got 89 people watching live right now. Appreciate you guys tuning in for a little Talkin' VAWLS baseball edition. I don't think we've got any scheduling conflicts the rest of the way, so we'll be live every Sunday immediately following the game. But a couple weeks from now is when they transition Thursday, Friday, Saturday, so we'll be live Saturday after the game. But also you can check out the official merchandise of the Talkin' VAWLS network. Go to bonfire.com/store/Talkin' VAWLS. If you are elite, then you know what it's all about. Pick up the new Talkin' VAWLS Elite merch. We've also got the State Pride, Retro VAWLS, all the old faithfuls. Any and all support is greatly appreciated. Again, it is bonfire.com/store/Talkin' VAWLS. So let's talk a little bit about today's game. Again, I think it was Dauber said a little bit earlier, or maybe it was Indy Kid, don't piss this team off. Don't give them something. Don't give them that extra energy. They had it today. They came out today and just put an absolute beating on Alabama. It started early and it continued all day long. And then Drew Beam on the mound once again. He's either going to today. He was either going to strike you out or give up a home run. It was one or the other. But he goes 6 2/3, 4 hits, 3 runs, 3 earned runs. All those came off of solo shots and struck out 10. I believe. I don't think I'm wrong on this. That's got to be his high for strikeouts, is it not?
I think it is.
But just a solid day, top to bottom, hitting the ball, pitching, everything.
They what impressed me that got it going today is Alabama hit a bomb top of the first inning, come back, didn't score in the bottom of the first, but it was the second. They had 2 outs. I think Lawson's been struggling a little bit, and just a big hit, and that started it. He had the big 2-out hit. And some of the camera work today was freaking horrible, by the way, on the game. The ball would be hit to the fence, and then they would shine it to third. You didn't know if it was a home run or what, because that on that ground rule double,
it doesn't help when Bob Kessler, he calls it a bomb, so nobody knows what's going on.
Good Lord. If we don't have Bob and Todd Helton anymore, that'll be okay as well. We all love Todd Helton. I like Bob. I've met him. He's a nice guy, but yeah, it is what it is. But I was impressed by the 2-out hitting. That started it, got up 4-1. And, and the thing about it, that guy for Bama got hit today. And he had not gotten hit much on the weekends. I don't think he had lost on Sunday. I don't think Bama had lost a Sunday game in conference yet. So the fact that they ran him early and then lit up their pen, pretty impressive day of work for Tennessee.
And I like you bring up getting it started in the bottom of the second with 2 outs. And not just 2. There's 2 outs and nobody on base. Russell comes up and walks. Christian Moore has a single. Lipsius walk. And then, you mentioned Courtney Lawson. Man, I really thought he parked it when it came off the bat. But ground rule double, and then Stevenson follows up with an infield hit. Ortega reaches on an error, on an error. Tennessee's just they had some 2-out magic today. They did it again in the bottom of the fourth with 2 outs and nobody on. Lawson walks, Stevenson gets a single, and then Ortega, who talk about a weekend, son. Yeah. Ortega absolutely on fire, hits a 3-run bomb. Lipscomb hit no, it wasn't Lipscomb. Yeah, Lipscomb. I think hit a 3-run home run. Yeah, he hit a 3-run home run later in the game with 2 outs. Yep. Some 2-out magic today, Dauber.
Yeah, that's the thing. Top to bottom, this lineup, I think, can get going with 2 outs. We've seen it all year. And, apart from the Tennessee Tech game and then a little bit Friday night, bats just kind of went silent. And I'll go back to that Tennessee Tech game. I talked about the generous strike zone. They were also swinging at some bad pitches. And that was something that I wanted to see moving forward into this weekend. Would they be a little bit more disciplined, especially with the off-speed stuff and the junk pitches? Because that Tuesday game, that was some of the worst swings that I've seen this team put together. They couldn't find it. And I saw comments all week and still seeing stuff about the wood bats. I don't think that had anything to do with it. You put a horrible swing on a ball in the dirt with a wood bat, it's going to be just the same. If you're not going to hit anything that's in the dirt, and that composite bat, wood bat, same difference. But
go ahead, finish your thought. Then I want to make a comment about that too.
Moving into the weekend, I think they did a lot better at the junk pitches and the off-speed stuff, laying off of it. It was just, I think, a combination of stuff, man. And like I said, putting up arcade numbers and winning 30 of their first 31 games, at some point, reality has to set back in, and they just didn't have it Tuesday night. And I think, Friday was just, I don't want to put everything on the umps and all of that, but there was some other stuff playing into it. Again, I don't think that was the worst thing that could have happened to this team, to drop 2. I hate the streak ended. I hate, all of that, but little bit of a reality check and a little bit of humble pie. Kind of lets this team know that if they don't bring it, they can get beat.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad they lost, honestly, and not even just Tennessee Tech, and then come sweep Alabama. Like I said earlier, face a little adversity, like you said, fire them up. Hey, bring it, or you're going to get beat. But the key, again, just the way college base, win the series. That's it. Just win the series. How did they bounce back after that first loss? But going back to Tuesday, Dauber, you sent me a text asking if I wanted to go to the game, and if it was any other. There's 2 nights a week that I'm basically just a glorified cab driver. That's all I do is just drive all over town. So I couldn't go. I wanted to go. I thought it would have been a lot of fun. I know people were complaining about the wood bats and this, that, and the other. How cool is it, Indy Kid, for this team to get to play in a minor league stadium, Smoky Stadium, huge crowd, wooden bats. There's something about the sound of a wooden bat that fires you up. It's cool, man. And these kids, on the flip side of that, they play with wooden bats in summer leagues. It ain't like they've never swung a wooden bat before.
Exactly.
I just thought it made for a cool atmosphere.
Yeah, it was awesome. I mean, they had, close to 10,000 people for it. A lot of orange.
Well, mark my word, that won't be the last one. When the Smokies move back to Knoxville, they'll be playing there more. I don't know if they'll go to wooden bats all the time when they play there, but they'll play there more.
Yeah, I mean, but, like you said, whether you play in the Cape Cod League, whether you play in this Atlantic League down here around the Carolinas and Georgia, whether you play in the Appy League, you're using wooden bats in the summer. And most of these guys have gone and played wooden bat leagues. They're going to play them this summer as well. So it's, is it different? Absolutely. But, like Dauber said, it doesn't matter if you're taking a broom handle up there. If it's in the dirt, it's in the dirt. They swing at bad pitches. Vitello even kind of alluded to it, that sometimes maybe you got to, he didn't say anything that, they needed to be humbled. He said, but sometimes it takes something like that for guys to realize, winning covers up a lot. Basically, I can't remember the exact quote he said, but
maybe they'll listen to some of the stuff he's been saying the last couple of weeks.
That was it.
That's what he said.
Yeah, so maybe they'll listen a little bit because their pitch selection was often. Let's face it, you got to give the Tennessee Tech guy credit. When you turn on a 102-mile-per-hour fastball, a ball that fast tends to go pretty far if you get around on it. The guy turned on it. Hats off to him. Joyce had struck out like 6, and that was kind of his. He had 1 or 2 mistakes, and that was it. You got to give him credit on it, but that was a cool atmosphere. I don't see any other teams doing that around. What Tennessee baseball becomes impressive. At the same time, it can be annoying. You made the point earlier about the old fans versus the new. I guess what pisses me off about it is these new ones are the ones that go buy all the freaking jerseys up as soon as they go on sale, and you can't get around to them. And then they use the comparison of Georgia State. And they just say I had some rants about the new fans buying up the jerseys who wouldn't sniff one because didn't have time. By the time I got around to one, they were gone. So
I'm not pissed about the jerseys. I'm just pissed that I ordered a T-shirt and it can't get shipped. It's been like 17 days because all they're doing is shipping jerseys left and right. I can't even get my T-shirt in the mail.
Which one did you get?
I got the cartoon. I think we all have the Drew Gilbert one. I got the Kirby Connell T-shirt. So, yeah. But I ordered it like whenever I was in that cabin, and I think it's been over 2 weeks since I ordered it. So, yeah, man, it's – look, you don't think if Tennessee football gets back on track that all these Virginia Tech flags that have been flying and all these Alabama flags flying all throughout the area, you don't think they're just going to randomly switch over to Tennessee? It is what it is. It's part of being successful. It's a good thing. It's a good thing because if not, there wouldn't be this buzz around Tennessee baseball. The atmosphere wouldn't be so electric. They wouldn't be looking to add more seating and even still looking to add more seating. Joey Watts in the chat's with you, Indy Kid. I'm pissed the hats can't be bought.
They haven't even had the hats this year, have they?
Next month.
Those things will be, you better set an alarm. They'll be gone within minutes.
Man,
I don't understand why they don't just order more. More.
I don't get it either.
Supply and demand. It's fear of missing out. It's a real deal.
I'm not going to say anything. I was lucky enough to get an orange jersey when they went out. Got the cream one last year before they sold out. and somehow Alumni Hall put these out.
Yeah, look at this idiot sitting there wearing a jersey and a hat and everything else while we complain. I got to wear my own merchandise because nobody else will send me a shirt. I just print my own and buy it and ship it. Oh, Culbertson's right. Creating demand, supply and demand, fear of missing out. FOMO, it's real.
The funny thing is you can still get the white one like Dauber has. It's still on Alumni Hall. I guess people don't like it.
I can't wear white. I'll get it dirty.
Yeah. I don't know. The white one with the cursive looks pretty sweet.
It does.
On it. That was the one I kind of wanted, but of course it was gone. I'm curious to see what the hats, if it's going to be the same, if it's going to be the solid gray, which I have that one. I bought the one you had, and I didn't listen to you about the sizing on it, and I had to send it back, and it was gone by then. I may invest in an orange one. The more I see those orange ones, I like them more and more. I may try to find one of those this time around.
I want them to put out the black with the orange bill and the old interlocking UT.
I've got one of those in my closet, and I cut the back of it because it's so small it won't fit, and it still won't fit my.
I think I did that too. I had it from back when Helton was there. Actually,
yeah.
I had that one. I can't remember. It was kind of ruffled around, but it was a fit on. It wasn't like it was one of those that was a little stretchy. But I played a lot of softball games in that hat too. I think it finally crapped out. But yeah, those hats, I'd like to see them bring those back for a game. And I'm really kind of surprised they haven't brought out some kind of black uniform, some kind of dark mode.
Yeah.
It kind of surprised me because they did the smoky gray, which they still use. Yeah, they got the Evan Russell Weigel shirts. Have y'all seen those now where he got the NIL? They look pretty cool.
Well, let's do as we do every week on this show. Let's look ahead the rest of the way. Tennessee's got Florida coming up on the road. I'm not going to talk about the midweek games. It is what it is. But they got Florida away, and then they've got Auburn at home, back on the road for Kentucky, Georgia at home, and then they wrap up against Mississippi State on the road. What are you looking for, Dauber, from here on out? Just win, just plug along and get the series win. You know, that seemed to be the way the team operated last year. Get the series win and move on.
Yeah, I mean, that's really that's the name of the game in college baseball. It's great to rattle off the streak and, you know, play ridiculous baseball, because anybody that knows baseball knows that the way that team was playing, pitching, batting, it was just insane. I mean, historic, you know, clips that they're putting up, video game numbers, unreal, and not just a couple, like the whole lineup. You got guys sitting on the bench that be starting other places because they can't get into the lineup. You know, you got with Tidwell and Halverson coming back, guys that have started other places, guys that, you know, your ace just now coming back into the rotation. We talked about the good problems to have, but yeah, moving forward, that's the name of the game. Get to the postseason. Try to avoid injuries, which, you know, you've got a couple guys dinged up now, waiting to see Dolander and you know, how all that shakes out. But even if he's done for a while, you've still got other guys that can step up, and that's why I like the way this team is set up. You get to the postseason, and then that's when stuff kicks in. Win the series, focus on continuing to improve, eliminate some of the mistakes. You don't want to have another game or two like Tennessee Tech where you're not being disciplined, not taking good swings. And, you know, you want your rotation set and guys putting in good innings.
Let me hit this super chat real quick from John Hill. Thank you for the $5. Said had a great birthday. Thanks, but they lost Friday night. Thankfully made up for it this weekend. Good to see Indy Kid again. Thank you, John, for the $5. We appreciate it, my friend. Indy, do you worry that, you know, talking about the numbers, Dauber, that they put up, Indy, do you worry that, not that they necessarily peaked too soon, but that was the best. That was the best of the season. We talk all the time. It's the same as basketball. You got to get hot at the right time. Was this team hot at the wrong time? And now they're going to be chasing where they were to start off this season. That's my fear as we move forward through the rest of SEC play into the tournament and postseason.
Avoid injury. That's the big one. Even if Dolander misses a couple weeks, that's all right. But they're going to need him. They're going to need him to make that run. It's a pretty valid question, man. Did they peak? Or did they play their best at the wrong? I don't know. I feel like it's a team that can sustain its baseball. I mean, MVP baseball numbers. It is what it is. Couple things to look forward to. Do they need to limit Burns a little bit in anticipation for the postseason? Last year, talking about tournament and stuff, they rated as one of the top, number 4 overall seed, and got the hardest freaking bracket in the whole field. So, I mean, it's not like it's going to matter in that regard. But what I like about this team, and barring injury, you can't tell me that there's another team that has more depth than them as far as starting rotation, even pitching wise. And I remember, at least I think Dauber agreed too, but I remember us stating it, week 1, we said we feel this is a better pitching staff this year. It's not even close. And that's no disrespect toward last year's team. But this rotation, man, I mean, because Heflin couldn't get through to a 5th inning, and I love Chad Dallas, but he gave up a lot of bombs last year as well.
Go ahead. I can tell you had another thought there. Go ahead.
But it is a concern. Do you think maybe they've played their best ball at the wrong time? But the main thing here on out, they're going to lose games. It's baseball. It's the SEC. They've still got some tough series left. Just take care of business. If you lose a series, so be it. You lose one. But get it back going in to the postseason. That's what's going to matter. I think this team's going to be fine. I mean, they lost 2 games this week. Midweek losses, they happened. They happened last year because I know Charlotte throttled them 1 game last year. Alabama's not a bad team. They've been playing good baseball coming in. So the fact that they bounced back and absolutely stepped on their throats the last 2 days, they got the wake-up call they needed.
I wouldn't say that they peaked at the wrong time. I would say, and especially to a relatively new baseball fan, that they've set unrealistic expectations. Because, again, we'll go back to it's baseball. Some days
the way they're going. Sorry, I was just going to say the way they're going. If they maintain, let's say they lose a couple more games, they go through and win the College World Series. This could possibly go down as one of the greatest seasons ever.
Yeah, statistic-wise, yeah. If they maintain where they're at right now, statistic-wise, it's insane.
Win it all. Yeah.
I've got battered ball syndrome because it's just baseball. It's just baseball. It's just baseball. You get to the postseason and you trip up. You go home. It don't matter about 23 straight. It doesn't matter that you had the best start in the history of SEC baseball. None of that matters. All that matters is that national championship. And go back and look at last year. Your national champion got run ruled. Any kid brings this up all the time. They got run ruled in the SEC tournament, and it didn't matter, and they still came back. Yeah, it didn't matter. It didn't matter. And I guess my concern is, too, talking about the pitching staff and how good they have been. And, we had that confidence early in the year. We were talking about how good this pitching staff was. And it's, we're going to get Tidwell back. Tidwell's going to get back. He's going to get healthy. He's going to give you that extra depth you need going into the postseason. And now Dolander, I am concerned if Dolander is going to be out. How is Camden Sewell in a walking boot? If he just misses a couple of weeks and comes back, Dolander, it was nasty, man. It's nasty. And if they're talking about a fractured elbow, he's done. He's done. Yep. And I'm not saying this team can't win it all. They can clearly win it all. They are the best team in the country, hands down. Hands down. But I think they lose a little bit of advantage. And Chase Burns, how does he respond coming up? I want to see how he looks against Florida. He needs a good, strong outing coming up this next week. Three in a row for a freshman. People start talking, chatter. He needs a good outing this coming week.
Well, we had mentioned it 2 weeks ago when we were on. That was probably, in my opinion, one of the biggest advantages that this team had was the way your weekend rotation was pitching and the guys you had coming back and being able to set that rotation and have that extra almost weekend guy that you can plug in and bring from the bullpen or whatever. Because when you get to the regionals and super regionals and College World Series, being able to have the luxury to set your rotation and not have to worry about days of rest and guys pitching on short rest, that is key and critical to success moving forward. So if Dolander's out, that does put a little bit of a wrench in it, but you've got other guys that can step up.
I mean, I think the obvious is Tidwell moves back in. You just plug him into Saturday if Dolander's out, or maybe you plug him into Friday and you move Burns back to Saturday. I mean, you got good options, but I'm with you. I think the one thing that set them apart from others is when you got into the regionals, if you get to Omaha, you would have had 4 legitimate aces on that roster, because Beam and Dolander, they've just fallen behind because somebody has to pitch each day. You could throw any of those guys into Friday night, and you've got an ace, because Beam is – and who would have thought? I mean, I know the first series we was like, he looked all right, not bad. He's holding Tidwell's place. He didn't get the memo on that.
He's got the best ERA out of the 3 this deep into the season. 1.50 ERA.
Yeah,
Beam.
like you said today, I was kind of concerned because, like, man, he's throwing inside a lot today. But like I said, he was strikeout or bomb, pretty much. He was like, here it is, hit it. And that's the fact that this rotation, the scary thing for other teams is the fact that I'm not sure if Dolander is draft eligible after this year. I know Tidwell is, but Burns and Beam are true freshmen. You got 2 more years of dealing with these guys. Yep. And then whoever else they bring in. Pretty scary for other teams.
I just wonder when Blade's ready to go. What'd he pitch an inning on Tuesday, and
he threw at least a couple Friday night.
Trying to pull it back up. 1 2/3 on Friday night. Is that his longest? Yeah. He's not. I just wonder how far he is from being ready to go, because it's easy to say, throw Blade into that spot, but is he ready? You know,
I don't think he's looked that great.
Well,
now, he's looked okay. He's had his moments, but he's gotten hit a little bit too.
Yeah. Well, we're 45 minutes in. You guys have any final comments you want to make before we wrap this thing up and get out of here? Again, next week, Florida. They play Florida on Sunday, 1 p.m. We'll go live immediately after. Sunday after that, same deal. And then the Kentucky series, which is the 1st of May. Nope, sorry, 7th of May. It'll be a Saturday live stream. So we'll keep you guys up to date, let you guys know. But anything you guys want to add before we wrap up?
Yeah, I just a real quick one. This makes up interesting point. Need a legit catcher next year. Man, I'm going to give a shout out to Evan Russell. This dude's put in the work this year. We kind of questioned. We kind of wondered about him.
But yeah,
I mean, he's not been an issue. He's doing his job. He started, guys they're not running on him. He's calling good games. His approach at the plate's been better this year, because last year was kind of like, it's either home run or strikeout. I want to give that dude some credit, man. You can tell he's put in the work, and he's a pretty solid catcher right now. And we're not seeing the pass balls.
That was one thing I was concerned about.
Yeah, we're just things that were a little bit of an issue earlier on. He's playing his ass off back there. Now, hats off to him, because he's put the work in. Interesting stat on it. That guy's been there. I think this is his 5th year, and he has never gotten a cent of scholarship money since he's been there. He's always been a walk-on and not on any kind of scholarship, and it's still the same way.
Wow.
So, yeah, dude is a flat-out VFL. he'll go down as an all-time favorite. And what he's done, the sacrifice he made to catch, and he has gotten a lot better as years gone along too. Hats off to him.
I think that's it. Dauber, anything else you want to add?
I'm good, man.
All right, let's wrap this thing up. We'll be back next weekend, next Sunday, immediately following the game. Anybody wants to join me Tuesday night, 6:30 p.m. for a little NCAA 13. Always a good time. You guys that want to talk about Kyler Casper, recruiting, all that good stuff, come hang out Tuesday night. We'll talk about whatever you want to talk about. It's not just football. We can talk about your favorite cheeseburger. It does not matter. Last Tuesday, I ate a Pal's cheeseburger on air. I didn't care. I just sat here and played video games and hung out with you guys. It's always a blast. So come hang out. We'll talk some recruiting then. But that's going to do it. He's the Indie Kid. He's Dauber. My name is Boogie Bentley. Go Big Orange.
That we call